Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go.
All right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, traders. This is SageFT. My real name is Revan Wood. I'm the creator, founder of the live trading desk. Let's dive right into last week, and then we'll dive into next week. Let's take a look at this. I apologize if it seems like I'm stuttering here. I'm getting used to the new chart setup, the new monitor setup here. So we're on a brand new monitor. All right, what we got going on here, if we are taking a look at the daily chart, we came up into the 5982. This was drawn a long time ago, right? And it's just this low, touch, touch, touch. How many times is it going to touch it before the demand dries up in relation to the supply and we just dip right through? Well, here's where it started. They came back, they tested it, this area, this breaker block, if you will, came back and tested it. Okay, and then in the beginning of Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, came in, tested, and we dumped. Now, let's dive into this smaller time frame. But before we do that, let's take a look at, well, what were we looking at in terms of the daily chart in relation to the moving averages that we look at, which what we call the KISS chart, 20, 8 EMA, 20 simple ebb, SMA, and then 200 SMA. We're approaching the 200 SMA. We get above the 200 SMA, but what we're waiting for, if you remember, we were waiting to see if the 20 was going to come above the 200. Now, let's take a look. How did it play out? Well, it didn't, right? So now we're in that unique spot in which we call the chop zone, right? This is where only the professionals should be taking plays. So that's last week. Let's dive right into the 4-hour chart. Let's take a look at it. All right, so looking at the 4-hour chart, everything is on the up and up for buy-side activity because we're above the upward rising 200. It starts to increase at an increasing rate here. And so everything is a go until we get into that 5982. Again, I want to remind everyone, it's these levels over here, 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 through, right? And this is the breaker block that we saw on the daily chart. Okay, now the significance of the whole thing is this is where the demand occurred until it didn't. Okay, so then it became supply. Now let's watch how this works, and then we'll go into the smaller time frame again. Right, they get the largest move upwards ever. Right, so everybody piles in. How far do they take it? Right up to the prior resistance. Right, which would be the prior demand levels, which is now supply. So we were asking the question, did supply enter the market at the higher price at prior demand level? Yes. Okay, so now go to we're in the 4-hour. How do we trade it on the 15-minute? Perfect. The way that we traded it on the 15-minute was we waited for it to come up into, if I remember right, this is gap pretend, way up here. We get through the order block. Okay, and so now as we get through the order block, what does it do at the order block? Well, here's what it did. It peaked and then it started to fall. Now here's where we were able to actually take advantage of it. Not only were we able to take advantage of it here, okay, but we were able to take advantage of it here significantly. And then as we pushed into this square, rectangle, whatever we want to call it, level, area, we hit the median threshold of it, and then the most beautiful reversal happens right here. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. Right here. That for me is a sell signal 100% of the time. So 15 minutes says sell, 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 shkaboom. Okay. So as long as we were on the sell side of the 200 simple, we just continue to sell when it turned red again. Red, 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 red. This section right here is where a lot of people felt a lot of, I'm going to be positive, lack of mercy. Okay, so if we see this chop kill zone again, I'm going to remind you, hey, remember we talked about it in the review and Rev-Up. All right, so now that's the review. What's the Rev-Up? All right. Levels, folks, levels. All right, so now the first thing that catches my eye, this level here, as you can see, 5773. This level here, 5743, and this level here, 5709, and then the bottom side of it, 5601. Okay, there was a tiny little gap that they like to play here, which is at 5566. Now, okay, so that would be something you could do on the bottom side. Now, what you're waiting for though, here's what we're actually waiting for, right? Here's this is the daily chart. We want to know what they're going to do with this level right here. All eyes on 5837, 5837. All right, because right above it you have the 5849s, which is a nice perfect level here. Okay, so does prior demand become supply? Okay, and did they sweep the leg hard enough to get the supply that they need if they're going to take this thing down? I want to remind everyone that the futures market is to hedge. It's to hedge. So if they're going to protect their portfolio of S&P 500 stock, they must short or sell calls or buy puts or combinations of the three. Now, that means they also own the underlying stock, so the underlying stock isn't for sale, right? So this is how they hedge. Now, one thing that sticks out to me, and if this plays out, you heard it here first, and I don't know if it's going to, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to label it. Okay, now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a box around this day here. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to label the text here. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to call it real value levels. Okay, and the reason I'm saying that is somewhere between here and here is the actual price of the S&P 500. Do we fall down here? I don't know. So what we're looking for is if we start to rotate down, does the 20 turn down, turn the 200 down after the 8 and the price go through the 20? That will be first position short. Okay, catch me. After the draw on liquidity, plausible failed attempt at a higher high. So now, as I'm making all of these predictions of the market going down, I'm going to reserve my right to waffle, and I'm going to remind everyone that this can just be support right here, and we can absolutely smash right here next week. That's going to do it for me. We are live Monday, 8 a.m. across all channels, all platforms. If you use micro contracts in your simulator or your eval or your funded accounts, I recommend Take Profit Trader, as they have great customer service, and it's 50-cent micros. It's 50-cent micros. If you look at some of the other firms, they're up to $2. Now, let me tell you something. With a rake that high, you can't be profitable at the card room. All right. So with that being said, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful Memorial Day evening here in America. The markets were closed today. Let's make sure we're focused. And notice that I didn't say, well, we have a bunch of news next week, this and that, this and that. Look, here's the deal. It doesn't matter. Define your range. Define your trade, your setup inside the range or outside of the range, and execute. That's it. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Good night, everybody.